If you're new to this channel, my name is Mike Miller, and I won't even begin to explain what I am or what I do, but I'm interested in sharing content, videos on filmmaking, lifestyle design, conscious conversation. That's kind of what's been bouncing around my head as of late. And in this video, I want to talk about my journey from New Jersey, the East Coast, to California, West Coast, where I'm at right now as I film this video. And this is a tale that I've been wanting to share for a long time, and I feel like it's an appropriate way to really get the gears moving again with making YouTube videos. So where do we start? Let's start in New Jersey. September 1st, I left home. You can hear construction in the back. Apologies. I wanted to just get this video out instead of procrastinating and sitting on it as I have been for quite some time. So starting off at home in New Jersey, where I've lived all my life. I'm 27, so 27 years I've lived in northern New Jersey. Now, I studied filmmaking in school. I have a BFA in film. Not that degrees mean much, but that's what I studied. And I've always fantasized about going to Hollywood, going to LA. But as the years have progressed since I graduated a few years back in 2017, I've heard a lot of stories, and I've just had my own experiences that almost put like a sour taste in my mouth as to what LA might have in store for me, as well as a traditional path. I mean, I don't believe in doing anything by tradition per se. There are some things I wish to take, other things I prefer to innovate on and take my own way. Nonetheless, I was finally pushed by my friend Greg to come out in February and visit. So I made a vlog on that. I'll link to, figure out how to do that. And of my first vlog, my first time coming to LA. And that experience really shaped how I viewed it. Because I didn't come to LA the first time with a plan. And things just seemed to align and connect the dots. Everything seemed to just like flow perfectly. And I feel like when you're on the right path in life, it's almost like the railroad ties, the railroad tracks align, and then the course is just straight. Not always easy, it has its ups and downs, but things just flow a lot smoother. So I noticed that the first time I came here, my mind really opened up to what's possible. Now fast forward to September 2022, I had been talking with my brother, Nick, and my friend Bart about coming out here. We had been discussing it for a while, and there was no plan. There was no right time for a lot of the important things in life. There is really no such thing as perfect timing, I believe. And so September 1st, my brother and I left from New Jersey. He had lived in Colorado, so his home base was set up there. So the plan was to drive from New Jersey to Colorado, and then from Colorado, grab his car, and then go to LA. Now, in the beginning, it was smooth sailing for the most part. Emotional, sure. A lot of tension, a lot of nervousness. For me, that typically manifests as aggravation and stress. I'm working on it. And we made our way from the east to Ohio, where my grandparents are at. We stayed with them overnight, briefly, just said hi, checked in. And from then on, we continued forward until we got to the Iowa-Nebraska border. This is where things took a turn. Okay, so this thus far it had been not so bad. I was driving my Subaru. It's a sedan, and when we got to the Iowa-Nebraska border, we stayed overnight at a hotel. And the next morning, I turned the car on, and there is a check. All the lights went off. It was like check engine light. I don't even know cars. All these lights went off. It was like a Christmas tree. Everything was lit up. And I was like, okay, what now? So we brought it to the nearest Subaru as quick as possible, and we waited. I'm literally on like bated breath for what this could mean. I was doing Google research. I was watching YouTube videos, trying to figure out, trying to diagnose the problem. And it turns out that a major component of my transmission, I forget now what it was a few months ago now, it's December as I'm making this video, it was some sort of transmission piece, and I'm trying not to even think of it because it was such a challenging moment. Nonetheless, in order to get it fixed, it would cost around $2,000, and the part didn't exist anywhere in Nebraska. So I would have to take $2,000, so about a third of what I had saved. Again, didn't plan for this. Hindsight's 2020, but if I were to ever do this again, I would come with a budget and a plan, and yeah. Anyway, so I'd take a third of my about $6,000, $6,500 I had for this trip. Not nearly enough, I came to realize, and I'd have to spend $2,000 and wait a month for this part to come in. Now, my brother was starting work. He was able to transfer his job to Redondo, a different part of California, a different part of the country from Colorado. And we had a timeline. We had to get there. We couldn't wait a month in Nebraska. Who wants to wait a month in Nebraska? Anyway, so we literally just said, fuck it. And we pray. I was praying the entire time. We drove 7.5 hours from Nebraska to Colorado. And we made it. Thank the good Lord. Or whoever you believe in, thank whoever was responsible for that, because that was insane. And we made it to Colorado. I brought it to the first Subaru dealership I possibly could. It was a Saturday. And from then on, we were stranded in Colorado for about 4 or 5 days. I was able to negotiate and haggle with the Subaru people a little bit to get in quicker. And we ended up getting the price down to like $1,400, which was still a heavy chunk of cash. So once that was fixed, and obviously I'm kind of floating past it for the sake of time, but that was extremely stressful. It took a huge hit of my finances. And so we made it from Colorado, 4 or 5 days, sleeping on people's couches, to California. And I just said, screw it, let's just drive. We drove like the 14.5 hours to California. We made it here. And this is where it gets interesting, because the first few days we were able to couch surf. It was my brother and I. We had 2 cars now that were working, thank God. And we had to have a place to stay. So we couch surfed for a couple days, but ultimately realized like, okay, we need to get a place. So we got an Airbnb for 3 weeks, and I didn't know the areas, so I just picked the cheapest one. Ended up being in Hawthorne. Not a fantastic area to be. Ideally. And so the idea was we'll get an Airbnb for a few weeks. In the meantime, oh, by the way, I didn't have a job lined up. Didn't have an apartment lined up. Nothing was planned. So we got this Airbnb for 3 weeks. A few days in, we discovered that there were also rats living with us in all the cabinets and drawers. Everything was kind of dirty and sketchy, and it's hard to feel comfortable there. At the time, I was driving Uber Eats to make some money, and I had this deluded expectation that all of the jobs in the apartment would come within 3 weeks. That was a rude wake-up call. Meanwhile, my like budget is dwindling by the day and by the week, and by some stroke of I don't know what it is. The universe. My brother's friend, his mom's friend, said that her friend, my brother's friend's mom's friend, was in Croatia, and we could stay at her place in San Pedro and just pay her rent. Super cheap, very affordable, and we jumped on the opportunity. So we moved from our shitty Airbnb to San Pedro, which is like super south, right by the LA port, and kind of start from there. And so that was the next transition. I still didn't have a job at this point, and I was really hesitant to work for Amazon again as a delivery driver. Spoiler alert, I'm working for Amazon as a delivery driver. But so we then, from there, I was applying to jobs every day. I ended up hiring a career coach because I had never really written a resume before, and I was experiencing that. So that was another hit to the budget. Having to pay for food and cook for the first time. It was all just a really interesting wake-up call. And I'm going to jump a little bit forward here. So from there, we ended up getting kicked out of that place. At one point, she was like, "Hey, maybe," she had come back from Croatia, the woman who owned the apartment, and was like, "Hey, I'm gonna be working this. I work as a caretaker. I'll be working. I'll be living with people, so no problem." So she ended up leaving. Oh, drill's going off. And she ended up leaving, and we're like, okay, well, she's working, whatever. Turns out she wasn't working. She was staying on like her sister's house. Anyway, she's like, "Oh, we'll be roommates." That quickly turned from let's be roommates, the three of us, until you get a place, till the next week. She just kept saying, "I want my home back." Okay, whatever, lady. So thank you for what you did. If you're watching this, thank you. I really appreciate it because we would have been homeless without you. So I'm just trying to keep the gratitude going because it's easy to complain, but it's much harder to be grateful. And I'm very grateful because from then, my friend Bart, now my roommate, was able to make it out here from New Jersey. And he had been in New Jersey this whole entire time. Made it out here. He got an Airbnb. We kind of got our minds together and were able to get an apartment about a month and a half, almost 2 months ago now, November. So it was very hectic. I then just applied. I was applying to jobs every day. I've been applying to jobs. And I'm now working as a delivery driver at Amazon, as I had been in the past. That's another story for another time, Amazon delivery. Oof. Oh my. And so now we're living in LA. In our own apartment. I have my own room. I'm not paying a Croatian woman or a sketchy Airbnb for rent. And so, when I was at that place in San Pedro, from spending money on the car to the career coach to buying food and paying other bills like phone bill, car insurance, as well as some extraneous costs that I just didn't didn't know that would be required. I ended up going down to about gas, traveling cross country, and the gas prices are much higher here generally than in New Jersey, which is also still pretty high. I ended up going from about $6,500 to my lowest being $300, and that was really challenging. It really made me come face to face with the fact that I have not been great with money. Now I say I have not been versus I am not because since then I've now made it a habit to check my funds every day. I call it like a financial audit every day and make sure I know exactly how much money I have, as well as stick to a budget, which I haven't had to do before. So now that we've kind of covered if you're with me for this long, I appreciate it because this is a long video. I'm trying to explain the story to the best of my ability. Now that I've experienced this whole journey, it's really taught me a lot. And I would say a lot in terms of getting outside of my comfort zone, because living in the same place for so long, becoming kind of like a hometown hero, maybe not even a hero, but just a hometown person. I was the only person in my friend group to really make a move this dramatic. My friends were moving into their own apartments and their own places, but still relatively close to home. And I literally moved to the farthest place I could within the country. And not being in that bubble has kind of taught me that a lot of the way I was acting and behaving, the beliefs I had, were reinforced by my environment. And now being in a place where no one knows me, I've really had to confront those beliefs, those ideas, just the way of living. And a lot of the people around me, including my roommates, my brother, the people I'm meeting, are all acting as mirrors in a much more discernible, noticeable way for me on things I need to work on or things that I'm good at even. And so this has been, it's been challenging. I'm grateful that I have a few friends here that I might not know terribly well, but have been helpful in either helping me get work or connecting people with me. And so, yeah, I would say ultimately what I decided to do was take a leap of faith and step into the unknown and find that I've been caught. And caught in the sense of like I didn't fall, and I in some ways I did, but ultimately I'm still going and I'm doing whatever I have to do to make this work. And so I think it's one of the biggest lessons is that if you really want something, plan or not, you can find a way to make it work. And so I'm doing that. I mean, I'm working like 50 hours a week at Amazon, and then I'm driving Uber Eats on the side and trying to flip things and do whatever I can. And it's pretty challenging. And I don't think I give myself enough credit for it. But the reason why I moved here, which I didn't even explain in the beginning, probably should have, was not only did I study film and fantasize about coming here, but I feel like my purpose is to tell stories that inspire and empower people like yourselves, if you're watching this, to lead more meaningful lives. I mean, I know for me, it's like all these things I'm learning, I document and I journal and I'm trying to extrapolate the lessons and the wisdom from these things. This is a constant journey of curiosity I've been on, especially the last few years, but really all my life. And so I'm trying to use these videos that I make as ways to share value, share my journey, my goals, and my goal is to direct feature films. And it's so fascinating, and I'm going to talk about that in another video in more detail, but how many people just say, good luck with that, kid. All right, everybody wants to do that. And I just never believed that. I never believed in the naysayers and like the limiting beliefs of others. I always believed I have this gift to share with people, that I'm good at this. And so my goal is to direct feature films on a high level and use this channel to be a vessel, a channel of transparency of what I'm learning, what I'm struggling with, what I've won and gained and garnered through this process. And yeah, that's my goal. I'm grateful to have you along the ride with me, literally and figuratively, as we took a journey from the East Coast to the West Coast, and now I live in California. And a lot more journeys, a lot more adventures ahead, but I'm grateful to be on this ride, and I hope you got something from this video. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. Shoot me a DM. I'm on Instagram a lot, at Mike Miller Films, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao.